Hello and welcome back to Solid, where we do smart football dumb. We like the football nerds, but we're all concussion uncles. At the end of the day, we just got rotten brains. That's who we are. That's how we think. Thank you guys very much for joining me on today is Thursday, July 23rd. I can read numbers. July 23rd. My name is Jake. And something about me, I saw a deer eating my hostas in my backyard this morning, so I got sad and ate a brick of graham crackers. Um, it worked. I wasn't sad after that, so that's pretty good. We're gonna continue with the little preview thing that we got going on here. We're previewing every team, and we're going division by division. Break it up into two shows. One show was going to be three good things that the team did over the offseason, three good decisions that they made, three good decisions that they didn't make, three good things that they signed. You get it. Three good things that the teams did, whether it's a decision they made, didn't make, guy they signed, guy they didn't sign, guy they paid, guy they didn't pay. That was I probably could have breathed in the middle of talking there, but I didn't. We're doing the AFC South. The good things about the AFC South, we're going down by the division standing from last year. The AFC South was fun. It started off looking like the Colts were going to be some absolute goddamn juggernaut, and everything fell off for them. Ended up being the Jags won with a 13-4 record. And it was the Texans 12-5. Yuck. Colts 8-9. Jesus, that was sad. And then the Titans 3-14. So we're gonna start with the Jags. Three big things with them. Not a lot of changes with the coaching staff, which is fine. Still Liam Cohen holding the fort down. The big thing for them, and this is kind of weird. Okay. So there was talk at the beginning of the offseason, kind of the beginning, middle offseason, because about Travis Hunter. All right, it's all about Travis Hunter. All right, shine's kind of come off on the dude because he got hurt last season, missed a lot of it. There was talk at the beginning and middle of the offseason about Travis Hunter probably just going to be choosing one side of the ball to play on, and I love that. I want the dude to just be on one side. I want him to either be a cornerback or a wide receiver. He certainly can do the two-way playing thing. I think it's a bad idea. I think that you just get the guy to do one thing. Yes, having a guy that can do two things is good because it's one roster spot that can play that can do both things. You're essentially saving a roster spot. Also, if he gets hurt, like we saw last year, you're losing two guys with one roster spot. Not good. I don't think he's ever. If he is doing two ways, I think that there's an argument that you could say that he's not going to be the guy on both of those at both positions. I think he should just be the guy at one of them, and I think personally he should be the guy at corner. And there's talk, like I said, and I keep repeating myself, that he was going to just be one of those things. Okay, and if that's the decision that they make, I think that's great. Unfortunately, I saw like a video. I think it was on like Peter Schrager's podcast, like interviewing Liam Cohen, and Schrager asked him about if Travis Hunter was actually going to be a one-way guy, and then Liam Cohen said no, that's not the case. I don't fucking know. Maybe that's the coach talk and not wanting to give anything away. Seems like we'll probably find out sooner rather than later. I really hope it is coach talk because stop doing that, Liam. And who's the GM? Like, remember whenever he drafted Travis Hunter, he's like he's gonna change football. Jacksonville Jags. Who's their GM? Why can't I think of people's names? I'm the dumbest fucking person. James Gladstone. James Gladstone was like, he's going to change football. This guy's going to change. It's like, no, people have done two ways before. Dion did it famously and was a Hall of Famer. Man, I don't know. Just think that it should be Travis Hunter one way. And if that's what they choose, great. Second thing that I like, they didn't have like they didn't have do a whole lot this offseason. I gotta be honest, because they did trade their first round pick, the 2026 first round pick. They traded that so they could move up and get Travis Hunter last year. So I think that's one of the big things about like why this offseason was relatively sleepy for them. They only got in free agency and through trades 5 guys. They only got 5 guys. They did have like a decent sized draft class. I think it was like 10 people. They weren't necessarily great. Yeah, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They got 10 guys. Their first pick was in the second round. It was that tight end Nate Borkacher. Might have been bad value that they got for him. I think they might have overdrafted. They might have drafted him too high. Regardless, one thing that I like is that they got Rook Aroraro, which is a very fun name to say. And I got to be honest with you, there's a solid chance that I like this trade just because I like saying Rook Aroraro. It's very funny. But he was the Falcons defensive tackle, one of the Falcons defensive tackles last year and the year before. So he's still on his rookie deal. He's going into his third year in the NFL. He's kind of a guy that's like buried on the depth chart. He never really got a foothold in Atlanta. And the Jags traded Mason Smith to the Falcons. Mason Smith, also a defensive tackle, to the Falcons to get a different. So it's just like a one. It was essentially a 1-for-1 trade. I'm hoping that Ruka Rororo could because he makes plays. He's a good ball player, but he just never really got a foothold like in that Falcons rotation. And now that he's going to be in Jacksonville, he's just going to be behind Devon Hamilton and Josh Hines Allen, and Eric Armstead, I guess, more so than Josh Hines Allen. But it seems like he's going to have a better chance to play. And I when you watch the guy, you like his physicality, you like the plays that he makes. I think that this is a good move for them to get a guy that should be able. I don't think he's going to beat out Eric Armstead or Devon Hamilton, but I think that having him closer up, getting him more playing time is only going to be a good thing for that defensive line, because they don't necessarily have a whole lot of good depth, a whole lot of good rotational guys behind their two stars. So I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing for them. The third thing that I like that the Jags did this offseason was that they did not trade Brian Thomas Jr. There was some talks kind of around the A.J. Brown conversation, like when there was talks that like maybe the Eagles just trade A.J. Brown to the Jags and for a package where they get Brian Thomas Jr. I like Brian Thomas Jr. I know that last year was kind of shitty for him, and it made it so they had to go out and get Jacoby Myers, and it was such a bad season that like Parker Washington, who ended up being awesome, kind of like ended up standing out. Whereas like, man, why is Brian Thomas Jr. Why is BTJ why is he not doing what he was doing last year? Because last year, remember, he did really well when Mac Jones was throwing the ball, and then Trevor Lawrence comes back and he kind of he looks like over the middle. He looks like scared to get hit. He's doing the dinosaur arms where he's not like reaching out and extending for the ball. Is just kind of gross. What did his stats ended up being last year? 48 catches for 707 yards and only 2 touchdowns. That's coming down from a season where he had 87 catches on almost double-ish and almost 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. It was a significantly worse season for him. But I mean, this guy was a first-round pick in 2024. Like, I don't know. I think it'd be dumb to trade him, and it would have been dumb to trade him, and they didn't trade him, and they're going to keep building with this guy. I think his stock is low. His stock is low. I'm buying Brian Thomas Jr. stock. Maybe that's the way that I should say it. I think it's good that they didn't trade a guy who had his stock super low. You know what I mean? If maybe down the line, if they want to trade him, they could trade him after like a better season than last year and get more for him. I don't know. It just seems, you get what I mean. You get what I mean. Like it's dumb. It's dumb to move on from a guy who you have a 5th-year option for. You still have the opportunity to make that decision after this season. They'll have the decision to do that 5th-year option. Think it's good. Think there was a lot of noise around it. I think that there should have been other teams that I've talked about, whether it be the Chiefs or any of the other teams that I've talked about that didn't make noise as guys that teams that were like we're really trying to get another guy to add to our wide receiver room. It would have been cool if those teams would have been in on Brian Thomas Jr. But I'm glad that the Jags didn't trade him. So it's good. It's kind of difficult for me for the Jags because my fantasy team name for the last ever has just been God Hates Jags. And the second that they like actually, I don't know where I have to draw the line to stop using that name. Do they have to like win like a divisional round game in order for me to stop doing that? I don't know. I don't want to set it as like win the Super Bowl and I'll stop doing it, because you can have good seasons. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So that's the Jags. I thought it wasn't, they didn't do a whole lot this offseason. Like I said, Travis Etienne went to the Saints in free agency. So the Jags got Chris Rodriguez Jr. from Washington. I don't I that's not really, that doesn't do a whole lot for me, really. So it's gonna be Bashal Tutin, who was good last year. Um, I'm curious to see how that running game really goes. I don't know. They also got rid of Devin Lloyd, which, like I said, with the Panthers, I think he's a really good linebacker. I think that's going to end up hurting them a little bit. But they did make 10 picks, so they got a lot of rookies coming in too. There's a lot of opportunities for guys to come in and do something good. But again, relatively sleepy offseason for them. Next was the Texans. The Texans were great on defense, phenomenal on defense, top 3 defensive team, probably top 2 defensive team behind the Seahawks. Offense, dog shit, all stems from the offensive line. It's still D'Amico Ryans is still their head coach, so they're still going to have a really good defense. Big thing that they did, so I think it all stems from that offensive line, and it stems from this running game. Okay, so news came out today, I can't remember what it was, but Joe Mixon might be retiring. He was the one that they went out and got last season, 2 seasons ago, and he ended up, it was two seasons ago, I think, and he ended up not being great. He ended up being good, and then last season he got hurt, I think before the season started, and he never played a snap, and it was really weird, and we had no idea what was going on. This season they traded for David Montgomery, who was the number 2 guy. He was the with the Lions. It was Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Jahmyr Gibbs, super athletic, awesome running back, and David Montgomery was their meatball who just bashed people's faces in left and right. They traded for David Montgomery. There's a couple of picks, and they also traded Juice Scruggs, one of their not good offensive linemen, that doesn't really describe anything, but Juice Scruggs is a fun name. They traded him to the Lions. They got David Montgomery. I think that's good. I think if you're trying to rebuild a running game, because this is a conference that wants to run the ball. The AFC South is a conference that wants to run the ball. You look at the running backs and the teams in this conference. I guess that doesn't really work when I just said that I'm curious about the Jags running game. But you got Jonathan Taylor with the Colts. You got the Titans with Tony Pollard. I guess they're kind of maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong by saying that this is a conference that wants to be able to run the ball. It does seem like they're kind of moving forward, and whatever. The Texans desperately need a running game to help out C.J. Stroud, because they can't have another season where C.J. Stroud is just getting assaulted left and right. They need to be able to keep defenses kind of guessing. They can't be like, they don't have a running game. If they have a running game, we don't need to commit bodies to it because it's not good. We'll just stop it at the line, which is kind of what had been happening. So they got this meatball guy that can run hard. I like this move. Is getting a good. You're not getting a fancy running back. You're not getting a guy who's gonna make who's gonna make 2 cuts and gash people on the side of the field. You're not doing that. You're getting steak and potatoes. You're getting steak and potatoes with David Montgomery. I think that's good. You know, he's gonna be maybe he'll have the same job as he did in Detroit, just to Woody Marks. Woody Marks is definitely not as good as Jahmyr Gibbs, but I like the addition of David Montgomery. Steak and potatoes all the way. But that goes along with the second thing that I like that they did. They're rebuilding their offensive line again. Last year it was dog shit. The only really 2 good offensive linemen that they have is their left tackle Ariante Ursary and their right guard Ed Ingram. Other than that, this during the draft they got Kalen Rutledge. He was their first round pick, I believe. He was their first round pick. Yes, he was their first round pick. He's going to end up maybe playing center with him. That's going to be a thing that we see during training camp. But they also their left guard is shaping up to be Wyatt Teller, and then their right tackle Braden Smith. I think this is all just good stuff for them. If your offensive line does suck butt, then change it up. This is like the third straight year that they've done this. It hasn't worked out in the past. I mean, it's been ugly. That one C.J. Stroud's good year, they had good offensive line play, and after that, it's been dog shit, and their offense has been dog shit. I think this is good. This is an objectively good thing. Maybe it doesn't work out, but at least they're doing something. They're not just sitting on their hands and just being like, yeah, CJ, go out and have another good season, bud. You're gonna get fucked, but fuck them back. Like they're being like, we got to help this cat. I think this is a good thing. So yeah, I don't know. It seems good to me. Was Wyatt Teller on that team last year? Where did Wyatt Teller play last year? Let me look this up real quick. I did look back to my listen back to the other one, the last episode, and this keyboard is very loud. He came from the Browns. And he ended last season on re-aggravating a calf injury. Who knows? That was week 17 with the Browns, and that was not good. They're making moves, and I think that's a good thing. The third thing that the Texans did that I liked is that they added Reed Blankenship. Maybe this doesn't necessarily. Maybe this is the Eagles guy in me. Reed Blankenship's a good safety, man. He was a UDFA for the Eagles in 2022, I believe. Didn't play because he was behind Marcus Epps and CJ Gardner-Johnson. Both of them left in 2023. He got the starting job. He's a good ball player, man. Whenever he makes plays on the ball, he's a good tackler. He's had some hummus brain, some concussion things, some injuries from friendly fire and stuff like that, but he's a really good football player. He's not going to blow your dick off or anything like that, but he's very solid. He's able to come down from like a shell and make plays on the ball, get interceptions. I think he's had like 3 identical interceptions where he's sliding down. I think his very first one that he had was on Aaron Rodgers, where he's just come sliding down on a pass that would have been, I don't know, maybe like 2-3 yards behind a linebacker, and he comes down and gets a pick. Man, the guy's good. He's a good ball player. And he's going to a good defensive scheme, so it's good to see him do that. He didn't cost a lot. I think it was like $8 million or something like that. This is good. So it's good. Their defensive backfield is fucked. Derek Stingley Jr., Reed Blankenship, Kalen Bullock, Kamari Lassiter, Jalen Petrie at nickel. Like that's violence, man. That's a violent defensive backfield, and it's just going to be another year where they just absolutely smother people. It's good. That Texans defense is just gonna be good. You know, it's just gonna be good. Gotta be terrifying for that. That's gonna be the unit that win. That's not a hot take. Saying that the Texans defense is gonna be a unit that wins that team games. No shit. So yeah, Texans. They changed things up. They got better at spots that they were bad. And that's what teams should be doing when they have, I don't necessarily know if I would say that the Texans defense is a championship winning defense. When they have a championship window open, getting better at spots that you're worse is what you should be doing. Teams don't do that. Not every team does that, which is very, very crazy to me. The teams make boneheaded decisions, not actively getting worse, but not actively getting better. Whatever. Texans are making moves, and I think that's a good thing. That is halfway through. Yeah. Cool. Colts are next. I was thinking about something, but I'm not going to do it. Colts are next. Again, great start to the season. Daniel Jones is playing his little dick off. Jonathan Taylor's running for 1 billion yards, 3 touchdowns every goddamn game. Seemed like they go into a bye week. They come out of the bye week, I guess against the Falcons. They win 2. Do they even win a game after that? I don't even know if they won a game after that. Let me look at their schedule from last year. It was bad. I remember that. I remember that being a thing. So they went into the bye week 8-2. Oh no, they went into they went overseas to play Atlanta in week 10. Won that game 8-2. That was an overtime game. Bye week after that, come home, don't win a single game after that. They end up going 8-9 with 7-game losing streak. Daniel Jones plays 2.5 games ish. Breaks, like, has like a fracture in his fibula. Fibula, you think about the 2 bones in your legs. The fibula is the one on the outside, not a weight bearing bone. Tibia absolutely is a weight bearing bone. Fibula is the one on the outside. It's just a bone that like tendons and shit connect to. Not a weight bearing bone. I've broken mine before, broke it clean in half, and the worst feeling in the world was walking and feeling the 2 bones rubbing up against each other. Never again. Don't do that. But you can play on it, and Daniel Jones did try to play on it and then ended up tearing his Achilles. And that was on December 7th. And what was going bad went even worse. Riley Leonard came in. Phillip Rivers came in. Everything sucked for them after that. So the problem is that before that, right at the trade deadline, they traded for Sauce Gardner. And I think they traded 2 first-round picks for him, which means that this year they did not have a first-round pick. Their very first pick in the draft ended up coming... No, you know what? They had their pick, and then they traded it to the Steelers. They traded back with to the Steelers. Their very first pick was the 21st pick in the second round. They got C.J. Allen was their linebacker. I think that's the biggest thing... Most important thing that they did this offseason was getting C.J. Allen out of Georgia, linebacker out of Georgia. I'm a fan of drafting Georgia linebackers. If you're going to default to drafting a linebacker, get the one from Georgia. I think they got really good value on this. I thought that he was potentially a first-round pick. That potentially first-round pick would have been if the Seahawks traded back from the 32nd spot, which they obviously didn't because they needed a running back. They got Jadarian Price. If they were to trade back, I could see a team getting C.J. Allen. Ended up not happening, and C.J. Allen went in the second half of the first round. Great for the Colts. He's big, physical, run-stopping linebacker. For a second-round guy, that's great. That's phenomenal. For a first-round guy, that's good. You would kind of want him to be a little bit more complete than that, but C.J. Allen, I think, is going to be a big addition to this team, especially since they traded away Zaire Franklin, who had been kind of a hit-or-miss guy. They traded him to the Colts. So right now, their linebackers are it's pretty much C.J. Allen is their guy. They're looking for, because they also a couple years ago EJ Speed went to the Texans. They've been kind of looking for some consistency there in like the middle of their defense. I think C.J. Allen's going to give them that. I don't think he's going to blow you away. I don't think he's going to be a Zach Bond and pick people off and really like command that defense just yet. He might get there, but for what they have, physicality, I think that's going to be a big thing for that defense. So that's huge. The second thing, and again, with the Colts having kind of a lack of resources in this offseason, they had to get Daniel Jones. They didn't have a choice. Whenever Sauce Gardner got traded, or whenever they traded for Sauce Gardner, traded that first round pick this year and next year, it's like, oh, okay, they're in on Daniel Jones. And at the time, it seemed like a good idea because that team was winning. That team, again, they were, what did I say, 8-2? They were winning. They were doing really good. It's like Daniel Jones, maybe the process wasn't that great, being like, Daniel Jones kind of sucked shit his entire career, and then he comes here and he's awesome. Maybe that small sample size isn't the right thing to go off of, but I understand. This is a team that's been in quarterback hell since Andrew Luck retired. So good. They found a guy. Maybe they got some big eyes for him, but they're like, we're going with this guy. Unfortunately, yada, yada, yada. Body turns into shit, and now it's bad. So he's going to be coming into the season playing off of a hurt Achilles. It's going to suck. But they had no choice but to sign him, and they did. And I again, not a perfect process, but they gave him a 2-year contract for $88 million. It's a lot of money. Good for Daniel Jones. $60 million of this contract is guaranteed. So in reality, if they wanted to move off from him, they have the possibility to do that. I believe is it after this season? Let's see what Spot Rack says. Daniel Jones, his contract. They have an out after this season. It would be a $35 million dead cap hit. In past years, I would say that's crazy. That's crazy to take that kind of a big dead cap hit. But if things don't go well for the Colts this year, I think Shane Steichen's out. I think Chris Ballard's out. That's going to be a new head coach and a new GM, and I think that they're going to be willing to make these big kinds of changes to just get out of that quarterback hell and get maybe trade it for a first round pick. I don't know what the hell they would do. There's a lot just because there's so many things they could do. They have an out. $35 million dead cap hit would be a third of what the record is right now, which the Dolphins just set when they released Tua. It was like $98 million or something. That is stupid high dead cap hit, which like 3 years ago, the Broncos set whenever they released Russell Wilson. Anyway, normally I'd be like, you're not taking a big dead cap hit. I think it is a possibility that they could do that. They gave themselves an out, is my point with this contract. That's the good thing. If Daniel Jones works, congratulations. Maybe he looks like he's just as good as he was last year. I was going to say as good as he ever has been, which I guess that does work because that was last year. Yeah, you know what I mean. They can extend him if they want to. They can cut ties with him if they need to. I think it's for what their situation was. I think that this was a good contract, pricey but good, relatively good for their situation. The third thing that I like, I'm kind of up in the air on this one. They in free agency, they got Arden Key. They got Jonathan Owens. Arden Key's an edge rusher, been around for a long time, I think 8 years. Not super great, but they got him, and he was relatively cheap. They got Jonathan Owens. He's the safety from the Bears, married to Simone Biles, so you got that. That's good vibes. Cam Taylor-Britt, they got him. He's the cornerback from Cincinnati. I don't know what the third one is. Maybe I'll go Cam Taylor-Britt, okay, because Charvarius Ward is one of their quarterbacks, so it's going to be Sauce Gardner, and then whoever plays opposite of him would be Charvarius Ward or potentially Cam Taylor-Britt. Charvarius Ward, remember last year, there was the warm-ups before a game. I think it was right around the same time that Anthony Richardson took an exercise band to the eye and broke his face. Wow, I totally forgot about Anthony Richardson. Jesus Christ. So it was around the same time Charvarius Ward was warming up before a game and ran into somebody during those warm-ups, got a concussion, and we just never saw him again. Did we ever see him again? I don't know, but he got a concussion there, and he ended up going on IR near the end of the season because of all of the concussions that he had. He says that he's going to come back and play this year because he doesn't want to end his career like that. I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't. Maybe Cam Taylor-Britt, who has been good, who's made good plays on the ball. He's coming from a Bengals defense which sucked shit. I don't know. It's getting a guy like that as a backup behind a guy who's has a high ceiling like Charvarius Ward is a good thing. It's wonky, man. It's wonky. I guess I'm going to say that's the third best thing that they did because without Cam Taylor-Britt, you're looking at Jonathan Edwards. Mekhi Blackman is fine. Not really fine. He's not good. I don't know. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going with getting depth. Arden Key's not terrible, but he's not good. He's gonna give them some good depth at edge rusher. He's more of a run stopping guy. I don't know. I'm going Cam Taylor-Britt, I guess, but Arden Key, they got him for cheap. Whatever. It's just they really hamstringed themselves last year, man. That's tough. Last team. Going the Titans. The Titans did a shitload. The Titans did a shitload. The Titans signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. They signed over 20 people in free agency through in free agency. I don't know if they all got signed, but there's trades and shit that went into that. The problem is that a bunch of these guys they got rid of they changed all their coaching staff. It's going to be Robert Saleh as their head coach again, or they're new to them head coach, and they hired Brian Daboll is going to be their new offensive coordinator. They ended up, a lot of the guys that they signed and got in free agency and traded for are guys that are from teams that those two guys are familiar with. They got for Saleh's guys, John Franklin Meyer, Jermaine Edmonds, Tony Adams. I'm sure there's some other ones that I'm looking at that I not even Hendon Hooker. They got guys that they're familiar with. Those are Robert Saleh's guys. For Brian Daboll, I don't know if I want Brian Daboll to bring his guys. Mitch Trubisky was with them with the Bills. Wan'Dale Robinson, Austin Schlottman, Cordale Flott they got him from the defense. Daniel Bellinger. It's just a lot of not great. I don't necessarily know if I said this about Kevin Stefanski bringing a bunch of Cleveland with him to Atlanta, but that was more the coaching staff. These guys brought talent from the Jets and from the Bills and from the Giants. I don't necessarily know if I want my guys bringing New York, New Jersey to Tennessee, especially if they weren't great at those spots. You know what I mean? Like that seems silly. That seems bad. Anyway, they did make a lot of moves. The move that I like that they did the most is that they signed Alontae Taylor in free agency. He did cost them a lot of money. But he's a good cornerback. He's been boom or bust season by season, not necessarily play by play boom or bust, but last year under Brandon Staley's defense, he did good. He's coming off of a really good season. He was their second round pick. He was the Saints' second round pick in 2022, and so he became available. They didn't pay him because he was going to get paid a lot of money. The Titans are the ones that forked that over. They had a lot of cap space, so I'm not totally mad at that. It's not like they overspent on a guy and then couldn't do anything else. Solomon Thomas is another guy that is that's a Robert Saleh guy. But so they signed a lot. It just gives them some. It gives them a cornerback. It gives them a guy. It gives them a good veteran guy. So I think that's good because he's going to be lining up opposite Cordale Flott, who I'm not a huge fan of from the Giants. Alontae Taylor's a good cornerback. I think that's good. That's going to give them a good player on the outside. I don't know if he's going to travel. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to have him do. But that's a good signing. Cost a little bit of money, not super damaging to them. Second thing I brought this up, getting Brian Daboll as your offensive coordinator. Brian Daboll, clearly not a good head coach. I don't give a shit that he won that he won Coach of the Year in 2022. Congratulations on getting the Giants to the playoffs. That's what ended up being nothing. The curse of the Coach of the Year. We saw that with Matt Nagy. Ends up going and being just an absolute turd as an offensive coordinator and turd as a head coach for the Bears after he won that. Brian Daboll, turd as a head coach after he won it in 2022. But he is a good offensive coordinator, and he's good for developing quarterbacks. He made his name developing Josh Allen and turning Josh Allen into kind of like a loose cannon guy his rookie season into fucking Josh Allen that we see now. Now Brian Daboll gets to do that with Cam Ward. And Cam Ward last year, it wasn't great. It's easy to be like, who the hell was Cam Ward throwing to? He wasn't throwing to anybody good, but he also wasn't great. I think that Brian Dable can do it. I believe in this. I kind of wanted Brian Dable to go to the Eagles. I think that would have probably blown up because Brian Dable and Nick Sirianni on the sideline together, they would have gotten to a fist fight every single game. I think there's a reality where, maybe not a reality, I think that there's a world where Brian Dable and Robert Saleh get into a fist fight on the sideline. Somebody probably going to be Brian Dable, should go up into the booth so that way he doesn't actually have to see Robert Saleh. They don't have to make eye contact. Because they will fight. They would fight. They would absolutely fight because they're both hotheads. But I think this is good. I think this is a good signing. He brings a good offensive scheme with him that can work, and he's got a young quarterback that he's going to be able to turn into a guy, hopefully, for the Titans. I think this is a universal good. There was like 3 offensive coordinators this offseason that were like the guys that you wanted, and he was probably 2 or 3. So this is good for them. I think that this kind of group of coaches will be able to stick around for a long time because ain't nobody going to be trying to get Brian Dable as a head coach again after what he did in New York. So this is going to be able to be a solid core. They're not getting a young cat that's going to be able to kind of move up and get out of there to get a head coaching job. They've got a good group that they're going to be able to keep, and Cam Ward will be able to develop under him. And then maybe 3 years down the line, some other dumb team will hire Brian Dable. But for right now, good move by the Titans. Third thing that they did, their first round pick that they got was Carnell Tate. Delightful pick. Love it. It gives Cam Ward a real guy to throw to, and they'll be able to develop together. Carnell Tate, the bottom line with him is that he's just a really good wide receiver. His best work that he does, the stuff that I like that he did best, was when he was working vertically, but he can be anywhere on the field. He doesn't drop the ball. He's a physical guy. He's not. What is he? I think he's like 6'2", 190-ish, so he's not a brick shithouse. He's on the verge of being a brick shithouse, but he definitely plays like a brick shithouse. So we're talking about a guy who can go downfield, a guy that can be anywhere on the field, probably be able to develop into a guy that's able to be more effective everywhere else too in an NFL passing offense. Doesn't drop the ball and is physical. That's a great, if you are making, what was he, I think that was like the 4th pick overall, I think is what they had. I could be wrong. Why are we not loading? Yeah, that was the 4th overall. They got Carnell Tate. So that's great. It went Fernando Mendoza. It went David Bailey to the Jets. It went Jeremiah Love to the Cardinals, and then Carnell Tate got to the Titans, and they grabbed him. This is delightful. This is how you build a team. Get your young quarterback weapons, and now they'll be able to develop together. So this is all good. This is a team that's moving towards being real. I don't necessarily know if I think Robert Saleh is going to be the guy to do that for them, but they're building a good core of players. This offense is definitely going to be more serious than it was last year. That's a low bar. But this is all good. I think they did good things. If I had to rank the off seasons by these teams, I think purely by the way they got better, I think purely because the bar was so low, the Titans have the potential to have the best offseason. Then I would say it's the Texans just because they're actually doing something, then Jags, and then Colts at the bottom there. But that's their own doing. You know what I mean? That's their own doing. So that's everybody. Thank you guys very much. I do this all in one take because I don't know how to edit things, and I don't really want to learn how to edit things. I will be back with you later, talking about the negatives for the AFC South. Because if you're a Titans guy, you probably don't give a shit about what the Texans are doing good. You don't give a shit about what the Jags are doing good. However, you do want to know what they did bad. You do want to know the dumb shit they did was. It's playing to everybody. All right. Thank you guys very much. I will talk to you later. Bye.